"Watch your sister's wedding online," my parents texted, so I stepped back and watched it fall. I was standing in line for my second double shift at the diner, watching the coffee drip slower than molasses, when the message came through. "Watch your sister's wedding online. We're streaming it. No, wish you were here. No, we miss you." Just a text. A command. Like they were mailing an invitation to a stranger. I stared at it for a moment, the words blurring with the exhaustion in my eyes. Then I pocketed the phone and picked up the coffee pot. The truth was, I'd already known I wouldn't be there. I hadn't been home in 3 years, not since I left for college with a duffel bag, a scholarship, and a quiet understanding that there wasn't room in that house for 2 daughters' dreams. Maya had always been the golden one. Straight A student, pageant smile, always said the right thing. I was the quiet one. The thinker. The one who disappeared into books and asked too many questions. When I told my parents I wanted to study architecture, they laughed. "What are you gonna build, a future out of dust?" So I left. I worked nights, took full class loads, lived in a tiny apartment with 3 other girls, and got used to doing things alone. No holidays back home. No Sunday calls. Just the occasional update through Facebook, Maya in her white coat ceremony. Maya and her fiancé grinning beneath some vineyard trellis. Maya, forever shining. I didn't resent her. Not exactly. It wasn't her fault she fit the mold. But when that text came in, "Watch your sister's wedding online," I felt something unravel in me. Not anger. Not sadness. Something quieter. A kind of letting go. That night, I walked home through the first snowfall of December, my shoes soaked, my stomach empty. The apartment was quiet, everyone had gone home for winter break. I heated a can of soup and pulled out my laptop, clicking the link they'd sent me. There she was. Maya. Radiant. Her dress was classic lace, with a train that rippled like light across the aisle. She looked like something out of a movie, confident, serene, adored. Our parents sat in the front row, beaming, our dad in a tux, our mom in pearls I'd never seen before. They looked like they belonged in that world. I didn't cry. I didn't rage. I just watched. Quietly. Like a ghost at the window. Halfway through the vows, I closed the laptop. I stood up, walked to the drafting table in the corner of my room, and stared at the half-finished model of the community center I'd been designing for my final thesis. It was supposed to be a safe haven for women and children, built in the old textile district of town. I'd poured my heart into it, imagining every brick, every curve of the walls that would hold stories, strength, and second chances. I ran my hand across the balsa wood frame. Then, slowly, I reached down, and pulled it apart. Piece by piece. The roof caved in first, then the delicate beams, the staircase I'd spent hours perfecting. I didn't stop until the whole thing was a mess of splinters and shards. My fingers trembled, and I couldn't breathe. It wasn't just the model. It was everything. Years of working, hoping, pretending it all mattered when nobody was watching. When nobody cared. But in that moment, as I sat among the ruins of what I'd built, something unexpected happened. I laughed. Not loudly. Not madly. Just a small, breathy sound of disbelief. Because underneath all that pain, something had cracked open. A realization, I was still here. Still standing. Even when everything fell apart. That night, I stayed up sketching. Not for class. Not for grades. Just, for me. I drew spirals, shelters, curved rooftops that looked like open arms. I imagined spaces that didn't care who you were, where you came from, or whether your family still called you daughter. 3 weeks later, after winter break ended, I went to my advisor and showed her the ruins of my model and the new sketches I'd made. She said nothing for a while, just ran her hand across the pages. Then she looked up and smiled. This is honest, she said. This is real. I passed the thesis review. In fact, they called it one of the most emotionally resonant projects they'd seen in years. One professor even asked if I'd thought about submitting it for a national student design competition that partnered with non-profit organizations to fund real-world builds. I laughed again. I hadn't. But I did. I rewrote my proposal, attached my sketches, and mailed it in. Then I forgot about it. Until March. When I got the email. Congratulations. Your design has been selected. We'd like to fund and build your community center. I sat down on the kitchen floor, soup boiling over on the stove behind me, tears in my eyes for the first time in years. Not because I'd won. But because I'd almost given up. I had watched everything fall. And still, something beautiful had risen. The build started that summer. Volunteers from all over the city came to help, retirees, students, moms with strollers, teenagers on break. And one day, as we were laying the foundation, a woman with tired eyes and a bright red scarf approached me. She'd seen the flyer at her shelter. She wanted to help. We laid bricks together in silence for a while before she turned to me and said, "This place, this is going to change lives. You don't even know." I looked at the half-built frame, the beams stretching up like arms to the sky, and I believed her. Months passed. The center took shape. It wasn't perfect, nothing ever is, but it had soul. It had purpose. The day before the grand opening, I received another message from my parents. "Heard about your project. Maya sent us an article. Proud of you." No punctuation. No invitation. But this time, I didn't feel the sting. I had found my own family. Not through blood, but through bricks and kindness and the quiet magic of building something that matters. On opening day, the little girl who cut the ribbon had been living in her mother's car just 2 months prior. She grinned up at the crowd, missing 2 front teeth, and said, "This place means we can start over." I watched as people walked through the doors I'd designed, touched the walls I'd envisioned, stepped into the dreams I'd built from dust. And I thought of my sister's wedding. Of watching it online. Of stepping back. Not out of bitterness. But out of clarity. Sometimes, life asks you to let go, not to lose something, but to make space for something bigger. Something yours. In the end, I didn't watch my dreams fall. I watched them rise, quietly, defiantly, beautifully. Because sometimes, when the world doesn't give you a seat at the table, you build your own house. And you leave the door open. For everyone. End of story. Word count, 1, 5, 10. Tone. Emotional, hopeful, and universally inspiring. Message: when life asks you to step back, sometimes it's leading you to build something far greater.